Assalamu alaikum. May I come in?
आ जाओ ठीक है.
Yes.
So please, you can introduce yourself to all of us.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sara Khalil. I hail from Thari Mirwa. The village is Walidat Khan, and it's in district Khairpur. I belong from the family of Loon Baloch. My grandfather was also a member of the West Pakistan Legislative Assembly. His tenure was around from 1964 to 1969. And 1969, sorry. After that, my father right now is working in Sindh Bank. My maternal side, is also from Sindh, from Tando Mohammad Khan. And my grandfather was working as an ex-career civil servant as well. He was working as a principal in one of the oldest institutes in the federal capital, Islamabad H9 College for Men. And my mother is also an associate professor of English literature. She is currently serving in the government sector. As far as my educational background is concerned, I'm currently pursuing my master's in business administration from NUST Business School. And I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from FAST School of Management. And as far as my work experience is concerned, I started interning in the second year of my bachelor's. I first interned in Polish oil and gas. It was a Polish company. And in the third year of my bachelor's, I interned in China Three Gorges. I was also working as a freelance content writer. I have also worked as a teaching assistant in my own university. After my second attempt in civil services, I rejoined the corporate sector, and I worked as a marketing executive for O3 Interfaces. It was a design and development company, and we were developing the UBL digital banking application. I was the content and marketing lead for it. Joining the civil services has always been a passion and a dream of mine, which is why I had to forego that job as well. And I feel like it is the best way to serve the community that has uplifted and brought me here today. Thank you.
Thank you. So you hail from rural Sindh.
Yes.
How many candidates have qualified from rural Sindh this time?
Sir, approximate number is about 42 candidates.
42 candidates.
Yes, and I think the girls are about 7.
7 girls?
Yes.
So you hail from Khairpur district?
Yes, district Khairpur.
Can tell us something about district Khairpur? What is the profile of the district?
So as far as the administrative profile of the district is concerned, the district is the home to a lot of historical places. The district became part of Pakistan in 1955. It used to be a former Khairpur state, and it was basically founded by Mir Shurab Khan Talpur, and his mahal is also over there. So, Khairpur is also the home to a wildlife sanctuary. It's called Mehrano, and there are multiple infrastructural and historical monuments over there. For instance, one of the most notable one being the Sachal tomb in Ranipur, Khairpur. Kot DG is also over there, and it was founded by Mir Shurab Khan Talpur after he won his war in 1783, I presume.
Lately, the finance minister of Pakistan was in Washington having a dialogue with the IMF. So what are the latest news?
The finance minister of Pakistan, Shaukat Tareen, had to withdraw from the IMF talks, and what happened in those talks would be disclosed later. But as far as the financial analysts are concerned, they're thinking that it was probably because of the fact that Pakistan was trying to fulfill all of the IMF regulations and all of the IMF commands. However, since our tax to GDP ratio is not as strong, and there were a lot of other things that we couldn't take into consideration at the moment, which is why the talks decided to forgo, and we are still in the process of talks are still ongoing, and I feel like they will be ongoing in the future as well. And the $6 billion loan is still at hold at the moment.
There was a meeting of Financial Action Task Force. Pakistan is still being kept in the grey list. Why?
Pakistan is still being kept in the grey list because of as there are two perceptions to it. The first is the Western perception to this decision. The Western perception of it is that Pakistan was not able to comply to all of the conditions that the FATF had imposed. For instance, their anti-money laundering and terror financing, and the documentation of the black economy. These were some of the major concerns from the Western sector. Pakistan wasn't able to comply to those, and this was the Western concern. However, Pakistan has been successful in achieving 30 out of the 34 points, and since Pakistan is adamantly trying, but there is an external factor of intervention of some countries that don't have Pakistan's national interest at heart, and there is a leg pulling in this community as well. That is why Pakistan is still being grey listed, even though there are a lot of the conditions have been fulfilled.
Sarah, lately we have seen that out of this Afghanistan crisis and exit of American from Afghanistan, there is some trends changing in relation of Pakistan and USA. What do you say? What do you see? How you analyze this situation? What are these new trends in relation between Pakistan and US?
History has been a testament to the fact that US has not always been too loyal with its allies. As Richard Nixon classified Pakistan as the allied allies, he basically, the point over here, the future of the US and Pakistan relations as far as the Taliban is concerned, there is a lot of Western backlash specifically targeting Pakistan, as the hasty withdrawal that they took was for some reason a part of Pakistan's concern. However, Pakistan has always been advocating for Afghan peace process, and Pakistan has always complied with every direction that was given from the West. However, the failure of West to withdraw, failure of USA to withdraw, and this hasty withdrawal, they're trying to make Pakistan the scapegoat of their withdrawal process. In the future, this can hamper some of our relations with the US, specifically when it comes to maintaining a trust deficit with them. And if we are to have relations with them where we consider ourselves equal and equal allies, being the scapegoat in the Afghan peace process is a very negative thing. So the relations as far as the current future is concerned, Pakistan is pivoting towards China rather than USA, specifically when it comes to this withdrawal.
Pakistan is member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. How do you analyze this partnership with Russia and China in future?
In the future, so Shanghai Cooperation Organization has joining the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was always a really good opportunity for Pakistan as far as regional connectivity is concerned. Pakistan has to take into consideration the important stakeholders, specifically in the South Asian region, for instance, China and Russia. And the reason for that is that our relations with USA have not always been stable. Sometimes in some decades we're the forefront and the face of peace processes. However, like the hasty withdrawal at the moment, we're the scapegoat of this, which is why pivoting towards China and Russia could prove to be beneficial for Pakistan in the near future. However, Pakistan must be cognizant of the fact that we shouldn't just steer towards China and Russia in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, because the countries that are pivoting only towards China are neglected in the geopolitical and geopolitical landscape. For instance, an example of North Korea can be taken. Another example of Iran can be taken as well. Just because they're good friends with China doesn't make them connected with the regional world as well. So Shanghai Cooperation is a very good opportunity for Pakistan to promote regional cooperation, which is the need of the moment, specifically with the neighbors that we have, both on the west and the eastern side, being very security centric state that we are. We have to make sure that we have to make sure that we're also catering towards the US interest and balancing the Chinese and Russian interest in the region as well.
Thank you.
How will you define human resource management? First, define what is human resource?
Human resource. When it comes to managerial context, human resource is the definition, and it's called human capital. Basically, people working in an organization, and an organization seeing the people as a resource, using them to maximize their wealth and other things. That's where human resource management and human capital is concerned. When an organization employs people, trains them, invests in them in order for their own prosperity, that's where human resource management comes into play.
What can you propose to the present government, that it paves the way for a healthy and democratic dispensation in the country?
Democracy has always been a Damocles sword in Pakistan's historical context, and the reason for that is that there was a lot of intervention from the military and there was a lot of failure in strong civil leadership in the country as well. As far as the future of democracy in our country is concerned, I feel like it's best that the institutions such as the major institutions of Pakistan are empowered and made autonomous to make their own decisions. They're strengthened. And democracy also means that you're including the people and you're including everyone, not just the majority, but also the minority. And since inclusivity is very important, specifically when it comes to fulfilling one of the tenets of democracy, it's also there's also a need to make sure that the people that we are voting for are also representing the concerns of a common man. So as far as democracy is concerned, we can split it into three parts: from an individual level, a societal level.
Okay, fine. My question was in the current context of Pakistan. You see, see there is so much of bitterness, polarization on the political landscape of the country. So, in this context, under the current circumstances,
there has been
3-4 advices to the present government. What do you think?
The first and foremost advice that I would like to give to the current government in terms of democracy would be to enhance inclusivity. I feel like every person should be given equal representation, and this can be done in the form of quota and in the form of other things as far as there's concerned. Another thing that can be recommended to the government is the promotion of local government elections, specifically to make sure that everyone and the grassroots democracy is concerned. Right now, at the moment, local government elections have been held, and that has a lot to do with the financial distribution of resources to them. So that is a concern. That would be my second opinion to them. And as far as my third opinion is concerned, the current government should also foresee the fact that the rise of extremism in Pakistan and the national narrative that is taking place right now should be curtailed, and it can be curtailed by making sure that you're communicating with the people, you're making sure that their demands are being heard, that they know that they're being given representation. So if people are given the voice, democracy can prevail.
Okay, let's move on. How important it is to bring about transparency in the financial system of the country, and how can we do it?
Bringing transparency is very important. It is one of the reasons why we have been grey listed by the Western countries, and we can bring transparency by making sure that everything that we're doing is documented accurately. Pakistan is one of those countries where the tax regulation and tax laws are very informal, and the reason for that is that a lot of people do not document what they're doing, and they're just because they know that the institutions are not capable of arresting them. For instance, in Pakistan, the tax laws are very relaxed, which is why it has been a challenge to keeping everything transparent. If we have to bring transparency into this, documentation and tax regulation, specifically from FBR, is very pertinent. And making sure that all the businesses, specifically the small and medium enterprises, are registered, they're documenting their financial concerns, and it's being reported back to the federal government as well.
You watching foreign films. What sort of films you watch in? Films are English films or in any other language?
Sir, it could be any other language. I watch English films. I have watched a couple of French films and Spanish films as well. And Korean films and the K-pop culture is also on the rise these days. There was a season called Squid Game, and that has really won the Netflix audience as well. So that's what.
You have listed one of your weaknesses, setting boundaries. What do you mean by this, setting boundaries?
When it comes to my mental health, I have noticed that sometimes just for the sake of people pleasing, I would do something that I'm not really comfortable with. For instance, when I was working in the corporate sector, even if it was after office hours, my boss would...
Why you need to please the people unnecessarily, just for that?
That is one of the weaknesses that I'm currently dealing with. I feel like I have a difficult time saying no to people, because in the corporate sector, and specifically in my field, we're taught never to say no. We're taught to handle everything.
But as a PAS officer,
yes,
you have to be firm.
Yes, exactly.
You have to say no on
Yes.
many occasions.
Yes.
And if you have this bent of mind of pleasing everybody, then how will you be able to carry your job?
Yes, this is a weakness that I am currently working on, and I am setting boundaries. I am making sure that
and non-confrontational, you say.
Yes, that is also another weakness of mine. I try to avoid confrontation if I can, but confrontation is natural. It happens. Conflict can arise anytime, and then I would revert to mitigation strategies rather than being completely
you should be
disconnected
sure
with it.
When you write something here.
Yes.
Please ensure that whatever you write is self-explanatory.
Okay.
We need not ask you to clarify this thing. Okay, what is this? Yes. Your adaptability, perseverance, these are self-explanatory.
Yes. Okay.
But these things they confuse the you see, those who are interviewing you, they tend to ask you about this thing.
Yes.
So avoid
Okay.
Writing such terms.
Okay.
And lastly, how will you differentiate between gender parity and gender equality?
So gender equality is providing people equality on the basis of being human, not and dismissing this gap that we have of an unequal power distribution given to one specific gender. So gender equality would mean that providing equality on the basis of being human. And as far as gender parity is concerned, it would probably mean providing equitable opportunities to all genders.
So that is gender equality.
Okay.
And what is gender parity?
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, you go and check on it. Okay?
Yes.
Sarah, you have studied human resource management. And in MBA, what are your areas of strength that you're working on? What is your major?
Currently, I have just started my MBA, so we have yet to pick our majors. I am pivoting towards marketing because after my first real experience was working in marketing. I wanted to work in HR and marketing to really explore what the fields had to do. So I felt like if I were to pick a major, specifically in my MBA, it would probably be international business and marketing.
Right. And your optional subject was international relations, one of the optional subjects. What fascinated you most in international relations?
International relations is basically this study of incorporating all of the factors and all of the global actors and evaluating and analyzing them on a global scale. I liked the fact that in international relations, it takes history, present, and the future, and it studies the world overall in transition. As in, international relations is a field that is ever evolving. It will never stop. As global history will evolve, this subject will evolve. Even in the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that international relations were changing, nationalism was on the rise, multipolarity, and all of these different things. So the subject is fascinating to me because it's everlasting, it's ethereal, it will live on forever.
So, how do you differentiate between international relations and political science?
Political science, there is a differentiation in terms of narrowness of political science and broadness of international relations. After the Second World War, specifically when the world was moving towards a more globalized world order and formations of international governmental organizations like the UN, the Bretton Woods system were coming into play. So international relations was shaping out, whereas political science is a bit narrow in its scope, as in it analyzes the current landscape, the current institutions, and focuses more towards philosophy and theoretical aspect of it. I would say that international relations is far more practical.
And do you know what's happening in Lebanon?
Yes, Lebanon is currently dealing with a very immense financial crisis and a political upheaval as well. It has a hyperinflation as of the moment. I was reading this article on Lebanon where a woman was crying about the fact that she hadn't had meat in over a year after Eid, because 1 kg of meat was about 150,000 rupees of Lebanon currency. So there's hyperinflation over there. The government over there have not lived up to what they were sworn to do, and because of corruption and failure of institutions to comply, the country is in deep crisis right now.
And do you think that sectarianism also has played up any role there?
In Lebanon, ma'am, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know at the moment.
Thank you. What do you know about Syria? What's happening in Syria?
Yes, Syria has been a battleground for the Middle Eastern confrontation. It is basically this, there is a war going on over there between two major Islamic actors, Saudi Arabia and Iran. And what those actors over there are doing are they're funding these non-state actors and non-state forces. So there's a political upheaval over there as well. Syrian war has been at the forefront for a lot of reasons, and it has also made the European nations a lot more conscious of their Schengen visa status, because there has been a lot of Syrian refugees migrating towards the European countries, specifically Germany. So Syria has been a war-torn victim country that was just unfortunate because it was in between these two powerful global actors that were being funded by two sides, and it's a battleground for sectarian violence at the moment.
So you think that Israel, Russia, and USA and UK have no role to play in Syria?
They also have a role to play over there because global politics is it's very interconnected. All of these actors over there have been influenced and have been siding with the majority, and the to subjugate the Syrian voice and the minority over there as well. So yes, these countries have also had a very, very strong hold over there, and that is why the country is at such an horrible upheaval at the moment.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, I have a question. What do you think? Why Sir Syed Ahmad Khan abstained Muslims to join Indian National Congress in 1885?
In 1885, the Muslim perspective it was recently right after the war of Pakistan had, it was right after the Muslim, I'm sorry, I'm going to retract.
It's okay.
What happened over at the time was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a futuristic leader. He knew that at the moment the Muslims had to make a good relationship with the British, and that is why he abstained them to join Indian National Congress, because he knew the role that the two nation theory would play in the future as well. So what he did was he warned the Muslims that in the future Hindus and Muslims will never be able to come on a same page, and in order to get on the good side of the British, they had to strengthen their own language. They had to make sure that they were focusing on education, development, and making sure that their relationship with the British at the time was getting mended as well, because of the aftermath of the war.
Okay, what is difference between joint electorate and separate electorate? And when and why a Muslim asked for separate electorate?
Separate electorate is voting for a Muslim by the Muslim. That is what the Muslim demand was. Specifically, there were a lot of times that the need for separate electorate came into play, and joint electorate was specifically when Muslims and Hindus could could have voted as well. And what at the time in Nehru report, the joint electorate came into play, whereas in a lot of other instances in history, separate electorate was concerned. I'm sorry, I can't recall the exact events at the moment, but yes.
Okay, what do you know about the Pune Pact?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, one question from international relations. Why Francis Fukuyama coined the term end of history after the collapse of USSR in 1991? What was that, end of history and the last man?
Yes, End of History and the Last Man by Francis Fukuyama was a statement. Basically, it highlighted the win of capitalism over the USSR. He highlighted that the capitalistic economy and the capitalists, the USA, had basically won and created this global order, and now and that was the end of history for him at that time. So the mere win of capitalism was what Fukuyama meant at that time.
Okay, is there any relation between Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan?
Sir, Marshall Plan was specifically Truman. There are two differences. There are multiple differences among it. For instance, Marshall Plan was specifically for the reconstruction of Europe after USSR, and Truman Doctrine was the containment of USSR. So that was the main difference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's conclude this formal session. Okay. Now you can ask question. We will give you our feedback, what you will like.
Okay.
हम feedback देंगे, आप बताएंगे.
आप लोग feedback दें.
हम दे.
Yes.
Your introduction was काफी बेहतर था.
Okay.
इसको structure मजीद करने की कोशिश
okay.
करें. ठीक है. You are intelligent. Your personality is quite good. Communication skill है. You are articulate. This is a good thing.
Okay.
Confident and knowledge is better. Knowledge base is better.
Yes.
But I can recommend you is कि भाई एक तो न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ती रहो. Keep it up.
Yes.
ठीक है. थोड़ा सा अपना एनर्जी लेवल अपने शुरू में मेंटेन करो.
Okay.
वो जो फर्स्ट इम्प्रेशन था ना,
Yes.
वो तुम्हारी ढीली ढाली आवाज से जो दब गया.
Okay.
तो जब आप अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस करें, when you are showcasing yourself
Yes.
in the beginning, तो you have your energy level. थोड़ा सा बोले, इस तरह बोले कि आवाज सबको सुनाई दे.
Okay.
ठीक है ना. This is all I have to keep it up, and
Okay.
hopefully you are going to make it. कोई
इंशाल्लाह
शक शुबा नहीं है.
इंशाल्लाह
नंबर फिर बताते हैं आपको.
अच्छा, ये आप जो आप अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे रही
जी
थी,
जी
वो मतलब जो है ना, ऐसे ऐसे लगता था,
जी
आई डोंट से कि
जी,
ऐसे
जी।
होगा, जैसे आपने मगिंग की हुई है, मगअप
Okay.
किया हुआ है.
ओके
2-3 जगह आप रुकी, आपने सोचा,
ओके
ठीक है ना, जब
ठीक
आदमी जब करता है तो आदमी किसी वक्त जब डिस्कनेक्ट होता है
Yes.
तो सोचता है वो एकदम फिर वो,
ओके
अगर ये है तो आप इसको अवॉइड करें.
ठीक है,
ठीक है, प्लीज
okay.
अवॉइड, डोंट डू इट, गिव बिल्कुल जो है ना एक्सटेम्पोर जो
यस
होता है,
यस
मगिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए.
यस
वैसे आप 3-4 पॉइंट अपने जहन में रखें,
यस यस
ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट नेचुरल नजर आना चाहिए.
यस ओके
ठीक है.
यस
दूसरा मैंने वो कहा था कि वो टर्म्स
यस
जो है आप जो
Gender
है ऐसी
equality and
टर्म्स
gender
जो
parity.
इनवाइट करें
Yes.
questioning. Why
Yes.
are you inviting the interviewers to ask you questions? You should not be doing it.
यस
वो सही टर्म्स वहाँ होनी चाहिए. पीपल
Yes.
प्लीजिंग और ये सेटिंग बाउंड्रीज,
Yes.
ये वो तो
हाँ.
आप उसी पर ले बैठेंगे सारे.
हाँ ठीक है वो
डोंट राइट सच टर्म्स, क्लियर सिंपल टर्म्स लिखें आप.
यस
और दूसरा ये आप जब जवाब देती हैं ना,
जी.
वो बहुत एट टाइम्स उसको प्रोलॉन्ग करती हैं. आप
ओके
जरा
ओके
वो जनरल टर्म्स, मसलन मैंने आपको सवाल किया था,
यस
प्रेसिडेंट गवर्नमेंट की मैंने बात की थी
Yes.
आपसे, ये जो आजकल जो
Yes.
माहौल बना हुआ
जी
है ना,
जी
इसको क्या, इनको क्या
जी.
आप जनरल टर्म्स में चलेगी,
ओके
एकेडमिक जो है
ओके
फ्रॉम एकेडमिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आप, तो ये ज़रा इस चीज़ का ख्याल करें. अदरवाइज बाकी यू हैव डन वेरी वेल, एंड आई एम
Thank you.
श्योर ये जो चीज़ों पर आप गौर जब करेंगी
इंशाल्लाह
यू विल परफॉर्म बेटर.
ठीक है थैंक यू
Sarah, you have a very good personality.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very nicely dressed.
थैंक यू
It's very befitting of an interview. Knowledge gap, शौकत भाई कहते हैं नहीं है,
knowledge base
मुझे
is
knowledge
better.
gap है.
यस ओके
You have to study more on international
Yes.
relations.
यस
You're smart enough to divert your interlocutor into areas which you have as your strength, but that may
Yes.
not necessarily be answering the question.
यस
So I would recommend increase your knowledge
यस
on these things.
स्पेसिफिकली ऑन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस टॉपिक्स
क्योंकि मैंने आपसे
जी,
वही
जी,
सवाल
हाँ.
पूछे, मैं उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में
Yes.
बात कर रही हूँ
ओके
कि जैसा लेबनान के बारे
Yes.
में, सीरिया के बारे में,
Yes.
दीज आर करंट इश्यूज. FATF के बारे में ज़्यादा पढ़िए,
यस
IMF के बारे में ज़्यादा पढ़िए. अभी हमने बलूचिस्तान पे कोई
Yes.
सवाल नहीं किया है,
Yes.
paucity of
Yes.
time, लेकिन you know what is happening
the
there.
chief minister
So you would be better,
Yes.
aware of it when you respond.
okay
Your responses are well formulated, but I would recommend enhance your knowledge
Okay.
base,
okay
or wish you all the best.
thank you
सर आपसे पाकिस्तान स्टडीज से रिलेटेड जो क्वेश्चंस
Yes.
हैं कि आपने आंसर एक बहुत लंबा लेके चले
जी,
गए आंसर को,
जी
बड़े ऑब्जेक्टिव से उसके आंसर भी
Yes.
बन जाते थे, थोड़ा सा क्रिटिकल भी था,
जी
सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट, जॉइंट
Yes.
इलेक्टोरेट
यस
और पूना पैक्ट, ये हिस्ट्री का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स हैं.
जी
आप इनको थोड़ा सा दोबारा
जी
से
मैं
स्टडी
इसको revise
कीजिएगा.
कर दूंगी.
और सर सैयद ने क्यों कांग्रेस को
यस
ज्वाइन करने से अवॉइड किया
जी.
और सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट का आइडिया
जी,
उन्होंने
जी.
प्रोपोगेट किया.
जी
ठीक है, इनको थोड़ा सा पाकिस्तान स्टडी को चेक कीजिएगा
Yes.
और थोड़ा सा लीगल एस्पेक्ट से देखिएगा.
ओके
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट
ओके
जो रिफॉर्म्स हुई थी, फिर ये 1909 के मिंटो मॉडल रिफॉर्म्स में
Yes.
इनकॉर्पोरेट हुआ था
यस
सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट.
यस
दिस इंडिकेटेड कि मुस्लिम्स आर ए सेपरेट नेशन.
यस
आपसे एक मैंने क्वेश्चन किया था, लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी की विक्ट्री को उसने कहा था एंड ऑफ हिस्ट्री,
यस
नॉट द
Yes,
कैपिटलिज्म.
okay.
ओके, तो आईआर से रिलेटेड भी चीजें
Yes.
आपका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है.
यस
यस, आपका जो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स बहुत अच्छी है. आंसर्स को थोड़ा सा
जी.
ऑब्जेक्टिव और थोड़ा सा क्रिटिकल आंसर्स दें.
जी.
बहुत लेंथ में
ठीक
जाने
है
की जरूरत
ओके
नहीं.
आई विल वर्क इन थैंक यू सो मच ठीक है
but you have got
यस आई नीड टू वर्क ऑन माय नॉलेज बेस
you need to work
यस
more.
डेफिनेटली
मिरर प्रैक्टिस करो अपने आप को,
Yes.
देखो थोड़ा सा एनर्जी लेवल
यस ओके
बढ़ाओ.
ओके
ठीक है ना, दिस इज अ वेरी
Definitely.
गुड स्कोर बट यू कैन इम्प्रूव इट ऑलवेज.
Yes.
कब इंटरव्यू?
Sir, मेरा interview 15th November को है.
You have got 2 weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks, and thank you so much for taking the time to really.
You are welcome.
Yes, and I will work on all of the factors that were mentioned today.
Inshallah.
Or inshallah,
You will perform better.
inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you.